Hello. So we're just gonna be going over the Necromancer patch notes as a resident Necromane. So they're just talking about Harbinger Grandmaster traits being reworked, which is good. Cascading Corruption allows you to unleash bursts of power when consuming Blight. Deathly Haste becomes a more controllable effect. And Doom approaches will be the end for either you or your opponents. And then they're buffing Epi and Corrupt Boon. And Scourge Shades to have a little quality of life. So Life Siphon, the skill now inflicts bleeding on yourself on the initial cast. And it doesn't increase healing effectiveness when you're bleeding. But they rolled that into the base healing. So you always get the higher healing just in case you get cleansed, which is good. Good sustain. You get a little axe buff. They reduce the cooldown, but the issue is that the cast time is really long and you like lose out on a lot of damage while you're casting it. So, but I don't think it'll be too good still. It needs to be better. Same thing for focus. I don't think it'll be used anywhere still. This life steal damage, it doesn't crit or anything. So it is pretty useless. They need to, I don't know, add candies to it. Just like a random candy in the Spinal Shivers takes so long to cast that you lose damage from the cast time because it's really long. And this Oppressive Collapse change is pretty good. You won't just cancel the ability when you press it. And then Taste of Death, pretty good. It's a little better. And then increased maximum stacks transferred from 5 to 8. Epi will be stronger. Dangerous, but who knows? Maybe they'll buff it to 10. Corrupt Boon, 5 to 8. I will be testing it on my Conduit builds. So if there is a Willbender with a lot of boons, they will be destroyed. They didn't do it in World v World though. I wonder why. Like, why is it PvP only? They probably didn't increase it in World v World because they don't want the entire squad to run Necromancers with Corrupt Boon. And also, it might feel too oppressive in a 1v1 duel. So they're probably thinking about the roamers. But they might balance it out to be the same because they usually change the PvP and World v World balance to be pretty similar. Like, I think only a few cooldowns are different or something, but the majority of it is the same. Now we move on to Spiteful Talisman. Oh, this trait no longer reduces the cooldown of axe and focus skills, which is rolled into baseline. And then this skill now increases base strike damage and is further increased against boonless foes. No, this is like fine, but this raises one of my annoyances with the patch notes is that they're so vague. We don't know what this base strike damage increase is, and we don't know what the further increase is until we actually go into the game on July 22nd and actually try it out. This entire patch note is like almost useless because we don't know the actual numbers of what it's going to be. And I get that it's not final, but they should just let us know what they're thinking instead of being vague like this. It'll have better results. Better theory crafting will be possible. If they say what number they're thinking about, they could still change it later on the actual patch day because they still change some things. And then having the actual number that they're thinking about will have better feedback from the community. So they'll be able to figure out how to balance it better instead of relying on a hotfix later or something in case the numbers are off. And this trait is in reworked named Dark Defense. Gain protection and carapace when you use a healing skill. Okay, but for how long? And then we don't know how many stacks of carapace that we get when you use a healing skill. So it should say gain protection for 5 seconds and 5 stacks of carapace when you use a healing skill or something, instead of this generic sentence. And then protection reduces incoming condition damage by how much? Again, super vague. Super vague. And now Corruptor's Fervor. This trait no longer grants protection and instead grants damage reduction that we don't know how much it is, while above the carapace threshold that we don't know what the threshold is until we log in on the same day as well. This note is good. This has the numbers that we need. I don't know why they can't do this for all of the notes. That increase the damage from 12% to 15% PvE only. It's that simple. Give us the numbers. And then for Scourge, we get an increased cooldown from 8 to 15, but then the duration is also 8 to 15. So it'll be less spammy. It'll be easier to get your auto attacks off without having to cast Sand Shade and cancel auto attack chain. So it might make Scourge easier to play. And then Elixir of Risk. Reduce the cooldown from 25 to 20 seconds and increase the power coefficient from 1 to 2, PvE only. They said that they wanted to make this a DPS skill, so it's going to be quite good. Especially when you have Blight where everything's doubled. It'll be a 4.0 PvE ratio. A 4.0 power ratio in PvE. And now it inflicts Torment as well. But see, this part is vague. This part is okay. And then this part, it ends up being vague. Because it could inflict 1 torment, and then when you have Blight, it'll inflict 2. But I don't know, just tell us how much torment is going to inflict. Cascading Corruption. This trait has been reworked. Gain stacks of Cascading Corruption when you consume Blight. When you reach the stack threshold, explode necrotic energy and increase your damage for a duration. It's a fun rework, but again, with the vague theme of the patch notes, gain stacks of Cascading Corruption when you consume Blight. Is it going to be a 1-for-1? And then when you reach 25 stacks, you explode necrotic energy? Or is it you gain 1 stack of Cascading Corruption when you consume 5 Blights, and when you reach like 3 stacks? So when you use 3 Shroud skills over the stack threshold or something, then you explode necrotic energy. Like, they need to give us more details about what is actually going to happen, because this is super vague. It could be 1-for-1, and then when you reach like 10 stacks, then you explode. Because that'll be like 2 Shroud skills with over Blight. So you can use the 3 and the 4, and then you explode and get the damage boost, which we don't even know how much it is. It could be 20%, it could be 5%. We really have no idea, but they said this was a safer option. This used to be the power trait, so I'm not sure if this will be taken for power, and then Doom Approaches will be taken for Condi, or if Condi will still, or if power will still take Doom Approaches because it'll be improved anyways. So we shall see. We shall see on patch day, as always, because these notes are vague. Deathly Haste. They said that this will be the same duration as it used to be, but the playability will be better. You don't just sit in Shroud. So I'm sure it'll be like you use Dark Barrage 3 times like you used to, and then it'll have the same amount of quickness. So this shouldn't have too many changes. They said in Worldly World that this won't have quickness anymore though. And for Doom Approaches, Blight reduces more of your health and accumulates faster in Shroud. So you lower your health more and faster. And then your Shroud skills are improved, which we don't know what each one will do because they don't tell us. But I think they told us in the actual video that the Dark Barrage will have more bolts, and then I forgot what they said about the 3. Maybe it was bigger or does more damage. And then the Shroud 4 would do a Fear. So for Condi, that will be an additional Torment stack because you take Insidious Disruption. And then the 5 will be bigger. The float will be bigger. Having a Fear in Harbinger Shroud will make me actually play it in Worldly World, because I only like playing Necro builds that have a Fear in the Shroud for Worldly World. I wonder if it'll show like this mark above you when you're using the 4 skill, because every single time that Necros have a Fear in Shroud, they always have this ability above, so it's like easier to dodge. Which is why Condi Ritualist, when I play the Fear Ritualist, it doesn't have this for Innervate Wanderlust, so it's like a secret fear. And that's it for the patch notes. Thank you for watching, and hopefully we get more specific patch notes in the future. Thank you. Bye.